Kicked Back presented by Betway. Juan, thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, Caroline. My pleasure being with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I know you're busy, so we're going to get right into it because everyone wants to know your insights and your thoughts on Messi joining Inter Miami, going to MLS. And it's funny because I said this to you a couple days ago. Any Messi news is big, of course. All football fans want to know what Messi's doing. But this news in North America of Messi joining MLS was catastrophic for us. So what was your initial reaction to Messi joining Inter Miami?
I'll tell you a story. I already knew that Messi was going to Miami in November of the last year. I got a friend, I'm not saying involved in the negotiation, but very close to the deal. And he told me, wait for the World Cup, but Messi and Miami are a serious thing, and they're going to close the deal. Of course, I tweeted in Varsky Sports, but with some benefit of the doubt, but I was sure that Messi was going to Miami. Let's go back to 1992. The best player and maybe the most famous person in the world was Diego Maradona. And the most famous person in the world and best player at the game of basketball was Michael Jordan. Diego was training after the first suspension of doping, 15 months. He was training. He will be back in Seville in August 1992, but we are talking about July. And he's training with his favorite T-shirt, who was number 9 of Michael Jordan for the Dream Team Barcelona 1992. So in that time, the most famous soccer player in the world was practicing with the most famous basketball player in the world T-shirt. Now, 30 years later, 2022, Qatar World Cup, Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron James, Trae Young, everybody was cheering Messi from in the World Cup, and now when we got finally the agreement sealed, everybody is talking about Messi coming to the US. So it's a huge impact because Messi is the best player in the world, the best player in history. I think he's on the table with Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali to be the GOAT of the GOATs, the great of all time in any sport. And he's healthy, he's fit, and he will compete in the MLS. But in Miami, it's not any team of the MLS, with all my due respect to the other franchise. We're talking about Miami 305. So, and is coming to Miami after the World Cup, because this movement wouldn't be the same in 2021, 2020. And Messi was at that time the best player in the world and maybe the greatest player of all time. But now, in this context, I think it's the best time for the MLS and Miami and Messi to fit in. No 3 years ago, not 5 years ago. I think the best time is now.
I love that you say that, and I completely agree with you. And I'm going to ask you, you know the impact that Messi's had on football and, Argentinian football. Now he has the opportunity to grow a sport in North America that has come a long way, especially the MLS has come a long way in the last several years. But now he has the opportunity to not only do that, but just grow sports in North America. You mentioned these basketball players, they're tweeting, welcome Messi, welcome, because they know how big of a brand Messi is, how big of a footballer he is, what he does on a global scale. But what do you think he's going to do for the sport of football here in Canada and in the US that, maybe us fans don't even realize?
Yes, Canada and US have or share a very particular culture of sport. You got NHL, you got NFL, in the United States. the NBA, the Major League Baseball,
Yep.
and they're not sports that you can export. Maybe you got some NFL games in Europe, but it's not the same story. Now the NBA is more globalized. Giannis is Greek, the
Yes.
Jokic is Serbian. Manu was a very famous player during 16 years in San Antonio. And United States and Canada are building seriously their soccer relationship. We can go back to Cosmos in 1970s with Pelé and Cruyff and Beckenbauer,
Yep.
and the soccer as a show, not a sport. But now, with very important penetration in the universities and as the formative the system, you got a football or soccer as a very much growing sport. And you got Canada competing in the last World Cup, playing really well. Some distraction in the last third cost them a few goals, but they will compete in the next World Cup. United States are playing continuously and consistently the World Cup. They made the quarterfinals 20 years ago. They are bringing to the national team footballers who were born in other countries. So Argentina is with Garnacho doing the same thing.
Yep.
And Messi has a big advantage because you have a structure. The Major League Soccer is a very well done league, and it's growing. But you got the structure. It started almost 30 years ago. You don't have the shootouts. You have a really serious competition. You are competing in the CONCACAF and trying to be the number one team in the North American system. And Messi will improve and will be up to the structure. He doesn't need to found anything. He's not a pioneer. Other people David Beckham was a pioneer as a football player and then as the owner of the Miami. So he will bring his style, his skills, his charisma, his persona, and he doesn't have the pressure to rebuild the system because the system is built and strong. So I think that's a big change. Obviously, Messi plays to win, and now Inter Miami is at the bottom of his conference, and they need to make the playoffs. It would be a failure, not for Messi, but for all the team not making the playoffs. You have the play-in, so you are 6 points away from the last place to do the play-in. And that system, it's not a league. The 38 games, the team who takes most points is the champion. No, we have playoffs, and this is, I think, become more attractive. And for him, is a sport challenge. And obviously, there are another motivations that took him to make this choice, this decision, and has to be with the family, with a place to your kids be educated and still growing. But I think that Messi has the structure that maybe another legends like Pele 50 years ago did not have at that moment.
Beautiful answer. You mentioned that Messi almost not necessarily knew he was going to Inter Miami in November, but he knew it was a big possibility for him. Do you think that he entertained the offer from Saudi, which was close to 1.2 billion? Do you know if he entertained that, or was he since November really focused on bringing his family to Miami?
He wanted to go to Miami. And you have some interviews, I think, in 2020 that he was sure about that possibility. He did not put the time at that moment, but he knew that someday he was going to Miami because he wanted, he and his family. He's a very conservative person. His wife Antonella was his girlfriend when he was 9 and she was 8.
Yes.
He will be 35 in June 24th. His father handled now with a team that helped him. All the commercial relationships, the sponsorship, the image of some brands, and he lived 20 years in Barcelona. He went from Barcelona because Barcelona told him. He did not want to leave Barcelona at that moment. He
Yep.
wanted to stay. He wanted to stay. He wanted to be part of a rebuilding process, but he had to go. And Paris Saint-Germain was the only option. Obviously, every team in the world wanted Messi, but it's very difficult to have Messi. Everybody wants him, but nobody or very few teams can really have it. So Messi left Barcelona when he didn't want to and joined PSG because it was the only real possibility. Look at that moment, 2021. Argentina has won the Copa America. He spent 1 month celebrating, well, no training, thinking about his return to Barcelona. He came back to Barcelona, and Barca told him, "You gotta go. We can't pay."
Can't believe it.
And he went to France, a very hostile country with a very straight press, with no preseason, another physicality of the game in the league, with a club almost desperate for winning the the Champions League, and he went to a state club that was very close to Qatar, and Qatar was the place of the following World Cup. We are talking about 2021. The World Cup was November, December 2022. Then the first season, PSG wins the league. Messi doesn't play so much because he spent almost the first semester with the 8 international matches with Argentina. They lost a traumatic matchup against Real Madrid in Champions.
Yeah.
Then start the second season. The first semester is all about World Cup, and Argentina in Qatar wins the World Cup against France. So Messi wins the World Cup against the national team of the country he's leading. And different context, different city, different language for the kids, for going to the school, for the family. They were very complicated, very complex 2 years from Messi. So the next step from Messi would be a place that he wanted to stay. Arabia is a huge, huge mountain of money. It's impressive. But Messi will not play for free in Miami. Let's let's put it clear. But from Messi and from the family, it was not the first priority, the money. He already made money, and he's a machine of making money because of he does, and because he is, because it's not only what Messi does on the pitch. Is when he his values that he shares and people capture from him.
Absolutely. You saw that, when Messi signed to PSG, 30 million people already started following the PSG Instagram account, which is huge. People didn't follow that PSG account to keep up with the club. They followed that account to keep up with Messi. And, it's very important to understand Messi as a footballer, but Messi as a brand elevates a club, elevates a league, elevates a country.
Perfect. And we come back to Jordan. Jordan have the Jordan brand with the shoes. Messi
Yep.
doesn't have that brand, but Messi did not tell people, well, let unfollow PSG and start following Miami. He
Yep.
doesn't say anything because he's not a person of that behavior.
Yes. Messi's a very humble footballer, and I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people love about him. He kind of lets his game do the talking, and you just appreciate that about Messi so much, especially when you know the caliber of footballer he is, and just how incredible he is, especially now winning that World Cup. What else is there for him to do? He's just amazing, except for now come
Yeah,
to Major League
don't
Soccer and change everything for us here too.
don't tell Messi he's not capable of, for example, making a free kick goal with the right foot,
Yeah.
because he will do it. He's humble and he's a legend and he's a competitive beast, and he will play until the fire extinguished. If he has a little a little piece of fire, he will keep playing. And he's fit, he's healthy, he's a professional, 100% professional. The MLS will keep him up because there's a lot of young players, and sometimes the intensity and the rhythm will be high, and it will be very good for him. But football, soccer is a sports team, and he can't do it alone. He never won anything alone. He,
Yeah.
of course, needed players like Xavi, Busquets, Iniesta, Pedro, Villa, Henry in Barcelona, coaches like Pep Guardiola,
Mhm.
and Mbappe, Neymar in PSG, and in the Argentinian team, the recent Qatar World Cup, McAllister, Enzo Fernandez, Julian Alvarez, Di Maria, De Paul, Otamendi. He needs a team, and he and the Miami board know that they will have to make some adjustments, some arrangements, because this team with Messi will be better. Of course, Messi will improve this team of Miami, but to be competitive and to fight for the title, they will need some more. And I don't know if um, the the new players will be close to Messi, if they will bring not only very good and qualified players, but also friends or person that Messi knows from the European soccer. They are talking about Di Maria. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's a strong possibility. And if you are a very, 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 very good player, and you are in your 30s, 31, 32, and you are watching Messi going and going to Miami, like the Will Smith song, you
Yeah.
you, you watch Messi going to Miami, and you start thinking, hey, if he goes to Miami, why not me? Maybe in another terms, in other conditions, and get ready for that. And I think the league will be prepared, because the interest will be from the teams to the players, but now from the players to the
Mhm.
teams. Hey, I'm going to go to the US. I'm going to go. I want to go to Canada. I want to play in the MLS. And the Messi's factor will be very important.
Absolutely. I know that we've already heard rumors Busquets, Alba, Suarez potentially being able to go to Inter
Yeah.
Miami. Di Maria. Di Maria is one of my favorite players of all time. It would be incredible to see
Yeah.
him go to Inter Miami. So you never know what's going to happen, but like you said, and you kind of see the same thing with Ronaldo with the Saudi Pro League, and now you're starting to see Benzema go over and Conte, and you know that there's going to be other players who start going to the Saudi Pro League, and you get these two, you can say the two goats of football making
Mhm.
these big moves, right? It takes the big players to make these big moves of courage to kind of transition into another league. And the other players, who are still incredible will follow suit. And you start seeing these leagues get, we already know Al Nassr is going to be sponsored by Nike. Broadcast rights are going to change in the Saudi Pro League. That's the Ronaldo effect. But now we have Messi going into MLS. The deal he signed with Apple, the deal he signed with Adidas, the players who are going to be coming over. Now a Canadian, a North American audience is going to see some of the players, like for me personally, that I grew up watching and idolizing right in front of me. Right in front. And my dad and I are season ticket holders with Toronto FC since the first season. And I called him as soon as the news dropped, and I said, Tatush, it's dad in Polish. Tatush, you won't believe it. Messi's coming to the MLS. And we almost started like crying, because you get to now imagine watching a game with a man who just won a World Cup, and a man who not only just won a World Cup, but who played unbelievable in that World Cup. And, that's the thing people need to start realizing. Unfortunately, the perception of MLS to people outside of North America is they call it the quote unquote retirement league. And until you get to,
I think it's a big mistake, because you have a lot of young players. And Messi will need the young players.
Yes.
Messi needs, for example, a 25, 26-year-old player who go to the space so he can pass the ball.
Yes.
Because you cannot play just from foot to foot. You have to play to the space. So I think there's a misconception of the MLS as a league of retirement, and Messi is not retiring. Messi, I think, and I already told it before the World Cup of Qatar. Messi will play World Cup 2026 if he's healthy, because he loved the game of football. He will play. I think he. Very last game will be in the national team, not in club team. I think his farewell, his last game will be a competitive match, and well, obviously the tribute with the national team. And we are not prepared. We are not prepared, and unfortunately, one day is closer to the date, because he's 36, but he will compete, I think, until 39, 40 years old. And he will know how to play the game, because he's the most intelligent player that I've ever seen in the pitch. He knows everything. When, how, why, what. He knows all the answers. So I would like to make a difference between Ronaldo, Benzema, and their link to the Arabian League. They are European, and they maybe don't think so much about the family. And the Argentinian players, the Latinos, they are thinking about their family, and a country who brings the family all the sources to the kids to be educated, to be safe, to have safety and security with comfort and institutions. And they also see Canada and US as a very appropriate countries for the family. Obviously, we're already talked about it. They were not playing for free, but there are countries who brings the players some advantages. And I don't see Messi family living in Saudi Arabia. No way, no way, no way. We are talking about 1 billion. Put the money you want, but they won't live there, because they won't suit that. We're not talking about good or bad. No, it's about who's something that suits for a family. So I think the MLS and Miami in particular, 305, Florida, the weather, the beaches, the entertainment, go to see the Miami Heat of the legend Pat Riley, Spolstra, and every night to the Casella Center to go to see Miami Dolphins. Unfortunately, Tom Brady is not playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers anymore. But you got in the players that I know, they have very strong sport culture, and you will see them in the Miami Open of tennis,
Mhm.
watching NBA action, and that things, or sorry, these things are very important for them and for the family and for the kids. So I think that Messi will bring a lot of players and a lot of attention to the MLS. I've already bought the package from Apple TV Plus. I'm here in Argentina, but coming back from Rio, I went to a match from Copa Libertadores. I already bought the package, so I can watch Leo and the other players of Argentina in the Major League Soccer.
I love to hear that, and I absolutely agree with you, and one thing that I love that you said is, there is a wrong perception around MLS and that it isn't a retirement league, and I think that the mere fact that Messi chose to sign to Inter Miami shows that, because if you watched his World Cup in Qatar, he's nowhere near retiring. He played incredible. He won MVP of that World Cup. So I think that what Messi's doing, it's going to change the perception of MLS. It could change the quality of MLS, continue to grow. It'll bring more players in. And then you have lifelong fans like me who, are going to be able to finally, it gives respect to North American, because immediately, unfortunately, like, I'll just use me for example, when you post a video and you have an opinion, if someone says, oh, you're Canadian, you know nothing about football, it immediately happens. There's this stereotype because you're not European, you're not, which I technically am. My parents are from Poland, but you're not South American. You don't come from the mecca of football, and people discredit you for that. I think Messi is going to change the entire culture
Yeah.
of football here. And I'm so excited to see where it is already. Ticket sales are through the roof. Everyone's buying their Apple Pass. Jerseys are going to be flying off the shelves. The amount of people that are going to want to come to games just to support Messi, it's going to be like nothing we've ever experienced. And it just shows you the effect, the absolute immense effect that Messi has.
I totally agree with you. We can make a comparison, but of course, it's impossible because we did not have here in Argentina structure to build for that hypothetical accomplishment. But we can compare Messi coming to US playing in the MLS as Michael Jordan coming to Argentina playing basketball.
Yeah.
And we have a very strong World Cup in 1950, Olympic champions in 2004 against the Italy in the final and the US team in the semifinal. We have a very strong culture of basketball, but we are far, 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 far away from the NBA, from the elite. But it will have the same impact because there are a lot of soccer and football fans and Messi fans in a very growing league that now we'll have to discover what we fortunately had during these years. Watching Messi in the pitch, Caroline, don't miss that opportunity.
Oh,
Somehow get a ticket. And I know you are a football player and you play very well,
oh,
and
thank you.
you will enjoy it. It's not about watching the ball; it's watching him.
Mhm.
Watch what he does, what he thinks. He total control of the game. Sometimes he seems disconnected of the game, and then boom, he receives the ball, goal, or an assist, or a dribble. And in every game, you keep for yourself a play, a goal, a pass, and via Twitter or Instagram or your cell phone, you have to share with something. Did you see what he just did? Did you see what he played? And to share that sensations with your friends, your family, and it's a very wonderful experience. So I'm very happy that Leo can brings the Messi experience in the MLS, a very strong competition and a very growing league. So You have to get the tickets. You have to get the tickets.
Oh, for sure, Juan. And we're very lucky and blessed to have him here. So we're very excited. And as soon as I see a game, I'll message you and say, I know exactly what you're talking about now when I get to see him live in person. But Juan, before I let you go, I need to ask you, as an Argentinian, what was it like for you to see Argentina win the World Cup?
When the final finished, Lionel Messi looked at the part of the stadium where was his family, and he said, "No hay más, no hay más, no more." It's the same. I love football. I love my job. I am still an analyst, a commentator. But what happened in Qatar will be the most important accomplishment that I've ever witnessed. And it's not about the title, the World Cup. We've seen, I think, the most beautiful and the best competition in the history of any sports. And we can talk about Game 7, Lakers Celtics in the 80s. We can talk about Federer Nadal Wimbledon 2008. But France Argentina was the best match ever. And I have 6 children. 2 from my former marriage. My wife had 3 for her marriage, and we have Lupe, who is 2 years and a half, and we are very happy because our kids finally watch an Argentinian world champion. The 65% of the population of Argentina had not born when Maradona and his teammates won Mexico 86. 65%. So everybody in the country now has his cup, his World Cup. So and for me, having worked there, having watched the 7 matches in Qatar, of course, it's a treasure I will never forget. And I think that, of course, I wish it could happen a lot of more beautiful things for me and for my job. But what happened in Qatar is very difficult, impossible to match, impossible.
I agree with you that was the best sports final we'll ever see. Even my husband, who recently started liking football, he was watching that final with me. And, when Mbappe started scoring those goals and, France started to come back, and then Argentina, and then overtime and penalties, and Mbappe scoring all the penalties, that match had a little bit of everything. And it got so crazy that as someone who isn't French or isn't Argentinian, I felt extremely stressed. And I'm like, this is the beauty of football. I think the last time I felt like that was Liverpool versus AC Milan in that Champions League final. And I'm a big AC Milan fan. Yes, in Istanbul. And I think that was the last time I felt like that in a final. And this one even was like 10 times more. So I congratulations to you, and what an amazing, match and finish to witness, especially with Messi. But my last question for you is, Messi's eventually going to retire, unfortunately. But Argentina has some.
We're not prepared for
that. I think everybody isn't prepared, but Argentina, and you saw this at the World Cup, Alvarez, McAllister, Enzo Fernandez, these young guys who are now signed to very big Premier League teams. They're the future. So do Argentinian fans, and maybe even you yourself as an analyst, feel secure and trusting in this team that they can carry the legacy that Maradona and Messi kind of really brought to the forefront for this Argentinian country and nation and football team?
Yes, we do. To win back-to-back World Cup, it's very difficult. The last team was Brazil, 58-62. 60 years ago,
Wow.
France was just one goal away. Sorry, Le Bleu, but it was ours. And I think that Argentina can have an even stronger team
Wow.
for 2026 that what we won in Qatar 2022, because you will have that McAllister, Enzo Fernandez, Julian Alvarez, that players 4 years more
Yep.
mature, and you will have Garnacho, who is playing at
Yes.
Manchester United, and he made the choice to play for Argentina, and you have a very strong core of 20, 25 players who are the cornerstone of the national team. You still got Messi, and
Hmm.
you got a very wise staff who will not allow players to play just for the t-shirt. You will have to earn your place into the national team, making big things in your club. So I'm very optimistic, but
Beautiful.
it's very difficult to win a World Cup. It's almost impossible to win back-to-back World Cup. And Argentina had a very strong team in '78 when we were the first World Cup, and then we got Diego in '82, and the team and the roster, player by player, was much better from the team that won the World Cup 4 years ago. But they failed. They lost against Belgium in the first match, and then they went to the second round against Italy and Brazil, and they lost the three matches, the two matches. So, and in 1990, Bilardo made some changes, some adjustment. The team was not so brilliant, but they know how to play that game,
Right.
because it's not about talent, it's not about skills, it's also about mental toughness. So I've been there. I know how to handle the situation. I know how to play a quarterfinal game. Maybe you compete with another team that they are more powerful, they are more skilled, but they don't know how to play
Yeah.
in that context, in that moment. So I think that Argentina, with the players that won the World Cup, plus the improvement during these 4 years, 3.5 years, and being more 3 years, sorry, 3 years, being more mature, and some youth force that Argentina will have. I mentioned Garnacho, but there are other players. I think we can repeat, but well, it's very, 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 very difficult to win a World Cup.
It would be amazing to see. And, World Cup in 2026, North America, Copa America is in the US. Messi's
Mhm.
coming to, or is already at Inter Miami. Juan, we'll probably be seeing each other a lot, here
Right.
on my side of the world. But some exciting times, obviously, for Argentina ahead. Messi, the US, Canada, Mexico. I think that this news that we've talked about for the last 40 minutes is going to change the landscape of football. And we'll be talking about it, I think, even in a couple of years. I don't think it's going to take long. And there's just so
No.
many things, like I mentioned, the Copa America, World Cup, Messi coming to MLS. That's really going to change. Makes me happy, because when I was younger, it wasn't like this here in Canada. You had to go to the US to play in school and hopefully get a job in football afterwards, and there wasn't a lot of opportunity. And for the men, you have to go to Europe, or South America
Yeah.
to build a career. Messi and what he's doing is going to change that, and I'm excited, because one
Yeah.
day, hopefully, God willing, I have children. My children could, if they decide they want to play football, they could, maybe play in MLS and have a great career, where before, when I was younger, you had to leave. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, and we will have 3 years of full excitement. As Michael Buffer said when he was the announcer of the any boxing match, let's get ready to rumble, because we have from now on, June 2023 to July 2026, 3 years of full North American relationship with
Yes.
football. We have Copa America, we have the World Cup, and we have Messi.
Yeah.
and we have Messi from July. It's happening.
I know.
So enjoy, and it will be a pleasure for me to share with you and with your audience all the things that are going to happen during these 3 years.
Juan, thank you so much.